that was silly, ridiculous, a waste of time. They didn't want that's why they were so successful. That's why they got away from it.
I've made a living in it very dangerous.
This is really an integrated Baton Rouge society. Dianne Andrews in black and white.
Hello, this is Fuji Totes. I just found out Fuji could not come in with me, so I'm making a little video for you to see how the pillow works with the doggy in it. As you see, Fuji's in here, in the bottom of this. At the end, after I take him out, I'm going to take all the things that are in here with him that you need on a trip, or whether you're just going, for an afternoon, everything you need to take the dog. I have driven all the way to Las Vegas, Nevada, and taken Fuji and my other dog, my multiple, with me with their meds, their leashes, their water cup, and whatever, in one pack, a couple of packs of food are in the bottom of this. By the way, I even have a COVID test. If you think your dog has COVID, it's in the bottom here that you can carry. And I'm going to show you, even with all that in the bottom, he can still lay here and feel nothing. You see him sitting down on it. He can still do that with all the things in there. And I'll show you what was in there. He had a playbill. He had the COVID test, as I laughed about. He has a heavy leash. He has a water bottle. He has some food. And another leash. This pillow only weighs about 3 pounds. So whatever you need in your necessities are for your dog can go in here, along with the dog, as you carry him wherever you want to go. To the park. And I'll tell you, sometimes I use this to put things as I go outside. So this is Fuji's Totes. And they are patented. Now, I'm going to show you in the presentation the large pillow. All of these are multifunctional pillows that can be used for cover-ups, for totes, for luggage. And I'm going to tell you the story how I started Fuji Totes. Fuji was, but anyway, I'll say that personally to you. I don't have to tell you all that now. Thank you.
Welcome to Dianne Andrews in black and white. Thanks for joining us. I've been doing this 9 years now, and I have a lot of loyal people who watch Dianne Andrews in black and white. So hopefully we bring you the things you need to know that you may not always ask about. We ask for you. And I feel like your family joining us here in the audience. We see the co-host is here. Fuji's here with me, and he's got his... He's dressed in his orange and black today. He's celebrating Halloween. And he has his black Fuji Totes on the floor. So, as you know, it's coming up to a very critical point in this country, a juncture in the country of which way are we going to go. The last 16 years of the United States have been headed by Democrats. And they mostly own the House and the Senate during most of that time. And look where we are. But the last 4 years have been the worst 4 years that I can remember. Being a citizen of this country. It seems like we're about to lose most of our very, very valuable rights. The biggest part of America, and everyone wants to come here, is to own a house. That's the American dream. People don't know in communist countries, you can't own a house. They take your land. They take your businesses. Everything belongs to the state. About a year ago, I interviewed a man from Cuba. He was an asylum seeker. He loved Donald Trump because he was in the Remain in Mexico program. People may have forgotten about that. Hadn't been that long ago, even though it seems like decades ago. That stopped day one of Joe Biden's administration. He signed out the executive order for the Remain in Mexico program that Donald Trump, he tried to get Nancy Pelosi, she was the Speaker of the House, to do more on the border. They wouldn't do it. He found a way. He met with Ottawa. He went down to Mexico. There was a president at that time. Now they have a communist Jewish president that just got elected in Mexico. But 30, just a side point, 30 of their mayors have been shot in the last 30 days who didn't agree with the policies. They killed them. Assassinated. They're trying to do that to former President Donald Trump. But the Remain in Mexico is a great tool. He said when he was behind, he was there 2 years, and he was truly an asylum seeker. He was part of the freedom fighters in Mexico. That's out on my YouTube or my Rumble. They'll be up on the screen. You can go and see that because it's worth seeing. He's been here about a year and a half. He can't even speak English that well, so I had an interpreter for that show. And we show you the part of Cuba that the natives live in, not the part that they let the tourists see and the tourists get to go to. The hospitals are, the tulips are old. They almost look, you can tell they're very old and ancient looking. And the hospitals that the actual people have to go to. A medical doctor in Cuba makes $80 a month, $80, because they paid for your education, but they only educate the skills that they need in that country, which is Cuba Communist Party. So that's a little aside, but I do want people to go look at the Communist Manifesto, written by Karl Marx. It was written in 1948. He was 30 years old. And his mother, until the day he died, said she wished he had gotten a good job or had a business, because he never had really that much money himself. But he wrote the Communist Manifesto with a guy named Engels. And the first country to implement it was Russia with Lenin and then Stalin. But we're going to talk a little more home here now. I have a person that I'm going to talk to that's been very influential in this community, in the Baton Rouge community. He went to high school, I think, at McKinley High. Then he went to Southern University, and he became a basketball player there at Southern, and also is in the Hall of Fame at Southern University for basketball. He's very active in the Conservative Party, in the Republican Party here. He was a Metro Councilman at one time, and he also was a member of the Republican State Central Committee. So when we come back from break, we've got a lot of interesting things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what's going on in the mayor race here in Baton Rouge, and we're going to also then talk about black men for Trump. Come on back to Dianne Andrews in Black and White. Thanks for being with me, Darrell Glasper Sr. And I guess you have a Darrell Glasper Jr. Is there a Darrell Glasper 3? Do you have a grandson named Darrell Glasper yet?
Just my son, Darrell II.
Okay. You've done quite a few things here in Baton Rouge. You're very influential in the community, and I know that you've had some years of sickness that we may go into a little bit, and you may have some advice for men out there about prostate cancer. I think that was the one that you had, was it prostate?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But do you want to talk about politics first? You want to talk about health first? Which one would you rather go to?
Let me talk a little bit about health first. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to see a program that's so informative and just on point with a lot of the issues that affect America. And to have a platform and to use that platform to better the lives of individuals, not just here, but around the country, is really refreshing. And I can understand that you're a very, very bright person. And I don't say that to a lot of people, and I'm not saying it to be fluff, because I sit and I watch a number of these shows, and you just go with no notes or no material, and you're right, you're spot on. So I want to say thank you, first of all. It's a pleasure to be in your presence and have an opportunity for the first time to be on your show.
I appreciate you being here, Darrell. It comes at a price, though. I've lost many black women friends at being a conservative.
Well, you know, in life, you didn't lose friends, you lost acquaintance, because at the end of the day, the truth always went out. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, you know, when you tell the truth, sometimes the truth hurt. Yeah. And then when you're an African American in this country, and you tell the truth about our people, then they get offended. Yeah. But yet they need to hear that, and your platform has given that to many, many individuals.
I appreciate that. That makes it worthwhile. If we save one person, we have saved the world, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Tell me about the harrowing experience you had with prostate cancer. For many years, I didn't see you. Then we got reconnected recently.
Well, let me tell you, in 2012, I was at the golf course on Seeger Lane getting ready to hit some balls. I had done some tests and did my doctor said that he was going to give me the results of some tests. Mm-hmm. He did both the MRIs, and he saw some things that was not normal. And so that afternoon, I'll never forget it, about 4:15, I received that phone call standing in there just about to buy a bucket of balls, and got the shock of my life. He told me that he saw something that was abnormal, and that in conjunction with the test being abnormal, he had received 2 days prior, my PS was at 14.
PSA.
The PSA. The PSA was at 14.
Wow.
And that was disturbing because immediately I started doing some research. But at the end of the day, I had a number of procedures from 2012 to 2021. I suffered with going through different treatments. I had 181.
9 years.
I had 181 seeds, and it lasted for about 18 to 19 months. And then the cancer came back, but it came back with a vengeance.
Always does.
And at that point, my doctors here in Baton Rouge, and let me tell you, I wrote a story about it. I mean, I was at home for many months, couldn't really do a whole lot of things, and I wrote I guess it would be a story of my journey with all of the doctors, all of the tests. I mean, all of these people are just great people. I mean, they were very concerned.
Here in Baton Rouge.
Here in Baton Rouge.
And MD Anderson also, right?
But let me tell you how I got there. Dr. Shelton, he's retired now. I never forget it. Dr. Shelton came to me and he said, Darrell, let me tell you this. He said, look, with the numbers that we are seeing and they're going up so rapid, he said, there's nothing else we can do. I'm going to have to give you all your records. And he said, you're going to have to find a specialist. And, you know, it's devastating that I went home. One of my daughters...
He basically said Baton Rouge can't do it anymore.
It couldn't do anymore.
He didn't recommend anybody?
Well, he said, you know, doctors have to be very careful about recommending.
Right.
So you have to look at the situation and try to figure out what direction you go in.
Best for you.
And then too, I have one doctor, my daughter is a doctor. Ashley is a doctor. She's a doctor pharmacist, so she knew about the various drugs that I was on.
Definitely know about medicine.
And then too, I have Tina, my daughter, my oldest daughter. I say I never made a decision without involving my daughter. My daughter, I call her my research department. And my daughter came up with some ideas, and I did not want to go robotic. And at that point, I could not go robotic. I couldn't take it out. And I'll end by saying this: God's been good to me, because my numbers on paper got to 39. So one of the things I did, I spoke with several doctors, and I spoke with my friends in California.
You said they were athletes too.
And they were athletes, and they knew some of the best doctors in the world. And my daughter had talked about high definition heat. I still have my prostrate.
That's amazing.
And with all that I have gone through for a period of time, when I went to MD Anderson's, I went through a battery of tests. I can tell you that for 3 days, they would drop me off at the hospital at 8, and I wouldn't leave till 3. I was extremely exhausted. I was weak because the numbers indicated that there was a possibility that it would have spread to other organs. And thank for the grace of God, they told me
When
it was still in the prostrate.
Yeah. You are really blessed.
Yeah, I'm really blessed. And it was still in the prostrate. And so the doctors there gave me an alternative. They were going to take the testosterone, give me some shots, and I didn't want to do that because, you know, if you take the testosterone, you might as well it's a death sentence.
Yeah, why are they giving you the male hormone? Does that help?
Well, because they thought that was the only route to go. So
that was here or Houston?
That was in Houston. And so once again, I had one of the best facilities
in the world, MD Anderson.
Say that there's nothing else they can do that can give me my records. And that day, I decided to go back to my condo in Houston, and just kind of say, okay.
Moved to Houston for your health care.
I was in Houston for 5 years, and just to try to get my self together and get my thought process together, and kind of look at, you know, my time may be up.
Yeah.
And my daughter called me.
How difficult is that?
Well, it's a mind thing.
Right.
It messes with your mind more than anything else. And so my daughter called me, and she said, Daddy, there's a new procedure called high definition heat, called HIFU. One of the best doctors in the world was Dr. Pugas. You can look him up. And so...
Is he in Houston?
It was in California, Los Angeles, California, outside of Los Angeles, California. I got an opportunity with Melvin Spears, boarded a flight with me. Melvin and I was very close for a long time. I didn't want to take any family members because I didn't know what I was going to encounter. And Dr. Pugas, we spoke on the phone, and I got an opportunity to go be examined. In 15 minutes, he just told me to relax. He did an examination in the exam room, and he told me, he said, I can help you. He said, every day, every week, every month of every year, there's somebody in the doctor's office suffering with prostrate. And he said, Mr. Glasper, he said, I saw your records, I read all your records, I had to send them ahead of time.
Right.
And Ms. Andrews, let me tell you this, one of the refreshing things that man told me, he said, look, I can help you, but I can't do it right now while you're out here. He said, A, you're too weak on your body. I had gotten to 165 pounds, 64 pounds.
What are you now?
In weight. I'm 190. And from a mental standpoint, he said I wasn't strong enough to go under anesthesia for 4.5 hours. So he said, I want you to go back, and I'm going to give you 5 weeks. On the 5th week, I'm going to do your surgery. And he said, you take care of yourself. So they put me on a good diet, and I got a membership at the gym. I was in the best shape of my life. My body was hard as a rock. And I think that's what he said when I woke up after 4.5 hours. They went in and took the heat, they cut the cancer out, and so my numbers went back down to 0, and because of some infection, they went back up. But look, let me say this to men, and I'm glad you have this platform. There are things that you can do that to save your life. One of the things, you're looking at a man that's 71 years of age. I never smoked, I never drank, I never used any illicit drugs in my life. And so I took care of my body. That made
You were a true athlete.
That contributed to the fact that I was able to be, have a decent outcome. But thank you for asking. And for those men, you look up high definition heat. It is some of the. I was in the hospital in California with some of the wealthiest people in the world. They were from all over the world. So yeah, but thank you so much for asking. And
Yeah,
today,
I think it may be a help to other people out there who may be experiencing
and look at it. Don't just take the first opinion. Look around and see, because everybody's made up a little bit different.
So after you got the high def, how much longer did you undergo treatments?
Well, I only did the high def. I have not had any more treatment.
Just one treatment of that?
I had one treatment, but let me tell you this: the medicines to get the body to heal took me a year and a half to adjust the medicines that I am on today. I mean, I'm not on a lot of medicine, but I am on something to maintain my numbers, and to kind of keep me healthy. I'm on
I like these kind of stories.
Well,
a good ending.
A lot of items, and let me say this to you: at this age, there's nothing more that they would do if it come back because of the age.
Yeah.
But God's given me a platform. I used it. I was really sick person. I don't like to. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't. I was a really sick individual. I stayed at home. But the good thing about it, Ms. Andrews, this is a thing that I tell people. I stopped watching TV. I started reading.
More.
I started reading more. I started listening to audio books. I started listening to motivational things. And then God's given me the strength and the help to be sound of mind now, to use that platform to try to help other people. And that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah. There was 2 people you wanted to mention and give them a thank you. Kip Holden's wife, Lois, and Joe Delpit. That's fine.
Let me say this to you. In life, in my spirit, I mentioned Joe's name, but no one's probably talked about Joe Delpit in the last 3, 4, 5 years.
When did he have a stroke? I didn't know he'd had one.
He has had some medical issues, from what I understand, for a number of years
Joe,
now.
He's probably in his 80s now. Huh?
3 to 4 years. And I want to say this.
I liked him. He's a really nice man.
Regardless if you like his politics is not
I don't
Democrat, Republican, white or black, rich or poor. A man's human is a human being, and Joe Delpit is a good man.
Yeah,
he had control of power for a long time, and after you sit back and you watch, you see a guy. And then too, with Kip Holden, he was a 3-term individual.
He was on my show, but he hadn't been sick but about 5 years, I guess.
And he's as sick as well, and we're in election year. And I just want to highlight the fact that these are 2 human beings that are going through it. And I want the community to know 2 things. 1, pray for them.
That's right.
Number 2 is that the community really love them.
Yeah.
And I've heard it over and over since I started mentioning it. But I want to mention 2 people. There's Lois Holden and Precious Delpit. Behind or on side, every successful man, when you have that foundation and that structure, you have 2 women who have really, really stood the test of time. And if there's not a place in heaven for both of those, heaven don't exist. And I mean that. I mean that from my heart, because they have really been the rock of those families. And I want to tell them, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I've always prayed for them. When you're on your back and you're looking up, you know, you're looking at God and you're telling God, I want to do all the things that I need to do, because at the end of the day, we all are humans. And
That's
so,
it.
and thank you for allowing me to do that.
Oh, you're welcome, and I wish the same for, I know Joe Jelpa pretty well, because he has the nursing home, and I was in home health right down the street, so he was a really, really nice man. I don't know him that well. I didn't know him when he was in politics here, but Kip has been on my show a couple of times when he was still mayor.
Joe did a lot for the community, and
Does he still own the Chicken Shack, his family?
yes, they
do.
does. But
Somebody told me that hook catch right next to it at the fish place. Who owns that?
Oh,
They
I
say
don't-
it's really good.
oh, I don't know.
You know, I'm making my pillows, the Indian guys. He walks down there every day because where we're sewing is right down the street
Yeah.
for Fuji's Toast. Fuji, you don't want your black pillow? I have to show my Fuji's Toast, right? You know, you can carry the pillow in it. We've got our new logo on it.
just like
I
a
designed.
kangaroo pouch.
Huh?
Just like a kangaroo
Yeah,
pouch.
it is. It's a pouch that you can carry the dog in and carry all his necessities.
That's
then
it.
flip it over, and he sleeps on it all the way.
A genius idea.
Well, it's patented.
Well-
I'm the only black in the country, and one of 6 patented pet pillows. Thank you for that compliment. But yeah, it shows. Looking at you, no one would ever know you were so sick. Isn't it amazing how God's human body comes back so quickly once it's on the right track, right?
That's right. You know, you take care of your body take care of you.
That's it. So let's talk about the mayor's race. I know that you are rooting for Coach Sid Edwards. I met him at the Louisiana Family Forum. I didn't know much about him, but it seems like he has really done a lot for black boys in this city, correct?
Yes.
As a coach.
Yes, I met Coach 23 years ago when I had my son Darrell had gone through a divorce, and my son Darrell was in Shreveport, and he decided that he wanted to come live with his dad. He thought that it would be better if he lived with me. He was an athlete, and my son was probably one of the top running backs in North Louisiana. And,
Did he go to Northeast up there?
No,
or
he was in junior. He was in middle school.
Oh, okay.
He was a running back. I never missed his game. My life revolved around my son, so I had him every other weekend. I never missed a game. I never missed a basketball game. And the
was he in
things that
Monroe?
he did, he was in Monroe. I own my own company, so on Fridays, the Friday that I need to go get him for that weekend, I was out of here at 12. But he called me and he said, "Dad, look, you know, I talked to my mother and I want to come stay with you." So he came with me, and I went to several schools. The requirement was that I put him in private school because he was really smart. And his mother, that was an agreement that we made.
Was he in private school in Monroe?
He was in private school in Monroe. And so I went to a number of schools here, but it was Coach Sid that called me. He had heard that I was trying to get little Darrell in school, and my son wasn't really tall, but he was really an athlete.
He was a running back.
He was a running back. And when he went to Redemptions was a school that had a history of really good football teams. And Coach Sid
Now, is that a magnet school? Or, that's not a private school, is it?
It was a private school.
Oh, is it?
Redemption was a private school at the time. And
Is it still?
no, it's closed.
Oh, it's closed.
My son got an opportunity to have 5 years of nothing but the best time of his life. And I credit Coach Sid, the coaches, for taking a lot of these African American kids.
Was Coach there? Coach Sid Edwards was the coach.
He was a head
Football coach.
He was a head football coach, and he also coached basketball.
Oh, wow.
The man has been a winner everywhere he went. But let me tell you, let me get into this story about him. You know, when he entered this race, I called my son and I said, "Darrell, look, let me tell you, Coach Sid's running." And he said, "You kidding me, man?" I said, "Running for what?" I said,
Who said that?
My son. Because it was a surprise to him, because he knew him as a coach and as a father figure and as a psychiatrist and a motivator.
Sound like a good mayor to me if you can do all that
but
thing.
let me say this to you. But more than anything else, he was a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
And that's what my son told me. You know, why would Coach want to get involved in this? And see, the people of Baton Rouge, get ready, because I'm telling you, a winner will win. He's been a winner. He has won 198 football games.
Out of how many?
Probably 500, but that's okay. Look at that winning percentage.
Yeah.
When you learn to win, you win. But you know what? His heart. The people in Baton Rouge haven't got it yet. I have, because I analyze things. So Coach
I
said...
know you like him a lot. You respect him.
Well, let me tell you, I respect him.
Yeah.
I respect him because he is a white male football coach that say enough is enough. I'd sit for an hour and talk to him.
Because most of these young boys he's coaching don't have fathers,
They
right?
don't have father, but listen to this.
But wait now, Redemptorist was a private school, so people there had money, right? His families
but
and
hold on a
money?
second. Let me tell you where he's been. He started at Catholic High, and the one he
Is that public?
That's private school.
That's private school, Catholic High.
His most famous athlete that he went and recruited and brought with him was Warwick Dunn.
Oh, Warwick Dunn? Yeah.
Warwick Dunn was...
he's in my book. I've written 5 books, but he's in my second book.
Wonderful,
Going Before the Heart,
wonderful story.
Yeah, it's a great story.
And then he went to Redemptorist, made it out of Powerhouse. Then he went to Central High School. He made it out of Powerhouse. And then the man left $40,000 on the table because he wanted to go back to his neighborhood where he was born and raised in the 705. It's one of the worst areas. People don't realize.
Right down the street where my other building is, he helped people buy those homes right behind my building, about a mile from here.
Warren did.
Yes.
But let me tell you about Sid. They don't get it yet. This man said enough is enough. I had a 14-year-old that when he was in this 8th grade, he passed I think it was ACT test, made a 22 on it. In the 8th grade, he started as a 10th grader. He was a 4.0 student. On Christmas Day, he had a birthday. On July 1st, the first of the year, he was gunned down on Windburn. That is the 5th individual out of that school.
What year was that?
Since Coach Sid was...
what year was that about?
I think it was just last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But
that was Coach's kid?
That was his kid. He saw a 14-year-old, very bright kid, go and 2 weeks later put in the ground. Now let me tell you something that affected him, because coaches, they look at those people as kids. Did he come from
a single parent household?
Single parent household.
Where did he live?
In the 705.
Now what high school is Coach at now? Where's he at?
Struma.
Struma. Oh yeah, I've been
Not
over there.
only Ms. Andrews
I've spoken over there.
Not only did he that one, four others have lost their lives.
All young black boys.
Not a black politician, not a black minister, none of them said a word. And so what Coach said was...
Our mayor said nothing.
No, nobody. Who said something? No one said anything. And so you have a white male coach who grew up in the 705, who was educated in the 705.
He grew up in the 705?
He was born and raised.
Was it a different era then, though?
Big difference.
Yes, because I know this whole area was middle class whites.
Right.
And Jewish.
But you know what? They were working class, blue collar families.
Who had families.